This is NAIA Football with Dannelly and Donley. Film review of NAIA football games is brought to you by Huddle. Huddle connects us with the teams so we can see all the coaches' game film and give you in-depth analysis on NAIA football. This program also airs on the Urban Edge Network. Download the Urban Edge Network app for all the NAIA championship events, regular game days, and a whole lot more. You can see all of the NAIA on the Urban Edge Network. Download the app now. This program is part of all the great coverage on the VictorySportsNetwork.com for all the latest in NAIA football and other sports. Check out VictorySportsNetwork.com.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is John Gruden, the old coach, down here in Tampa, Florida, just studying some football. And I just got to tell you, there is nobody covering NAIA football like the Victory Sports Network. Nobody. They've been doing it for over 20 years, and they know how great football is at this level. Now let's get going. Here is NAIA football with Dannelly and Donley. Let's go.
NAIA football is the true version of what college football is supposed to be. And it is the best classroom experience an 18 to 22-year-old male can have. One of the most valuable parts of a college education is that experience. It's life in a microcosm, and it's just something special for a young man to have to experience.
And don't you let a moment go without thinking about what's there for you to reach out and grasp.
This is NAIA Football with Dannelly and Donley. I'm Jason Dannelly, and welcome into another week of NAIA Football as we run through what's happened in the second round of the NAIA Championship Series and get you ready for the NAIA quarterfinals. And for the most part, things pretty much going by Chuck, if you will, in round two. Some close games, some struggles out there, and honestly, some blowouts. And to help me break it down, give you all the analysis of the games, I've got Pat Donley with me. Pat, second round, it's in the books, and I mean, not a lot of surprises out there. Not a lot of surprises in this round.
Not a lot of surprises. Home teams all won. Crazy weather games in a couple locations here in the Midwest. I guess there was some excitement. There was games.
To me, like, the excitement is like, hey, we got an upset, and look at this. Like, the games were exciting, but the outcomes were, they were what we kind of expected, you know?
Yeah. I think this next round is incredibly interesting.
Yes.
And I think it was good for the teams that had the bye week last week. I saw some rust, Jason. You kind of saw with a few teams, and especially the teams that haven't played maybe meaningful games in some time, now playing very meaningful games against great opponents here, that took some time to kind of get their legs back under them a little bit, if you will. I kind of noticed that with a couple of the teams. Kind of we predicted that a week ago. So, I think this was big for a team like Montana Tech, team like Benedictine, in particular. That I think it took them some time, maybe Marion a little bit too, to kind of have a really strong opponent to kind of get them back into playoff mode, if you will. So I think we're going to get really good games next week, if that makes sense, because I thought there was some feeling out for some of these teams. Again, a lot of these teams, Jason, haven't played meaningful games in 2 months because they had some kind of front-loaded games in their schedule, some big conference opponents, some non-conference opponents. And they ran, through their conference pretty easily, if you will. Again, like Marion, for instance, hasn't played a tough game in some time.
Yeah.
Same with Benedictine. Same with Montana Tech. So anyway,
and then you had the whole Lindsey Wilson, Indiana Wesleyan rope-a-dope, if you will. I mean, Indiana Wesleyan gets up 24-0 in this game, and then all of a sudden, just bam, 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 Lindsey Wilson's back in it, and all of a sudden, it's like, wow, this isn't a ball game anymore. Like, it looked like it wasn't going to be a game, and Indiana Wesleyan was going to run away with this, and then Lindsey Wilson runs away with it and makes it not a ball game in the end. So we had a crazy round. So, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. We'll get into it. Pat and I have got some time limits because we're going to try to be efficient this week. We're going to try to be efficient. So we'll just start things off with the number one seed getting a win over St. Francis. They end out with the 62-20 win in a crazy wild weather game, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I know the travel schedule for the Cougs. They left on Thanksgiving morning, kind of a tough one, kind of being the weather there, then settling in for the snowstorm that hit essentially Friday night. Pretty significant snowfall in Des Moines, plowing the fields and, their field and all that. You can see the snow pile up on the side. A lot of production really on both sides offensively. Both teams moved the ball in this game, Jason, pretty well, shockingly, with the conditions. Not much run game. St. Francis really couldn't run the ball at all in this game, but Colca, had some pass game. And really, St. Francis kind of made this interesting for a while, believe it or not. Obviously, the end result is what it is, but they're kind of back and forth, the first quarter and some big plays by the Cougars. Then Grandview was Grandview. It really took over, and Jackson Waring was exceptional. The Vikings did not run him as much as really I anticipated, Jason. A couple times in short yardage in the red zone that he was, the main ball carrier in the +1 running game. Kind of how we anticipated that happening with him, being unleashed, if you will, in the playoffs like they did last year in their national championship run. But really, it was more of his arm and more of a traditional running game in the weather conditions. But the Vikings played very well. Took them some time to kind of get back in the swing of things. And again, the weather was an odd situation. And I'm not sure it was really a great indication of the power of both of these teams. And again, I think St. Francis came out and did some good things early, but it was definitely a Grandview type game. And you could see the strength of the Vikings up front defensively, really, bottling up the run game. And I cannot wait for the Lindsey Wilson Grandview matchup. The great offense, the high-powered offense against a great defense. Of course, Graham's got a great offense as well. And an opportunistic defense that Lindsey Wilson has. They create turnovers. So, I mean, it's going to be I think that would be my favorite matchup maybe I'm looking forward to next week.
I'm really looking forward to
one I want to see the most. Maybe.
No, I would agree with you. And the amazing stat I look at in this game, I mean, the total yardage, the fact that Grandview is near 500 total yards in just a blizzard and just, 10 inches of snow falling in the last 24 hours, if not more, in the Des Moines area. But the crazy stat to me that I've got up on the screen there, Jackson Waring 14 for 19 in this snowstorm for 247 and 5 touchdowns. If that doesn't talk about efficiency and just, play into the conditions, but just playing the ball game the way that you're supposed to. Heck of a game by that young man. And then, a pretty strong running game in the snow for Grandview to have Williams over 100 yards, Dalton Van Pelt with 41 yards and a score in this game. Just a real nice run of it for them. On the other side, Colca throws for 311, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Just couldn't really get anything going with the running game for St. Francis as the game moved on, and then just all the other factors that went into it. The Cougs lose this one, and the number 1 team in the country advances on. It's like we talked about, Pat. Like this, we'll get excited for the next round. We'll get excited kind of for the next game here and everything. But I would say that I'm excited about it. Let's just say that our Blue Diamond Almond Prime performance in this game. Jackson Waring for his outstanding performance here today, 5 touchdowns and everything to go with that. All right, we move on because we got a lot to talk about tonight. Can't spend a lot of time on every game, but we want to give every game their due. Kaiser comes away with a 44-16 victory. They looked really good, Pat, and the fact that the news came out this week that they would be without their head coach in this game as Miles Russ with an illness was not going to be on the sideline coaching in this one. So Coach Peter Davila is kind of, running the ship right now. And you wonder, how are they going to come out? How are they going to respond? Well, 27-9 at the halftime and a 44-16 victory is how they responded. That's pretty good.
Yeah, dominant victory for the Seahawks. And we kind of thought it'd be inspired. We kind of, it was announced last night, as it was last night, Friday night, that Coach Russ would not be available for the game, and we wish him all the best. What a gentleman and a great football coach, and just had such a tremendous run since he's taken over of that program, and wish him all the best. But yeah, inspired group. I thought it was one of the best Kaiser games we have seen this year, Jason. I mean, it was again vintage Kaiser. It's their formula, Jason. It's physical up front. It's great defense, getting the ball back for the offense. I mean, how many running backs touched the football yesterday? I mean, it's by committee. Again, Miller was so dynamic when he does, get his opportunity. Again, they really do a smart job of limiting him, not beating him up. But man, when he gets his opportunities, he is a dynamic back and can take it to the house from anywhere. But look at the production. I think that's Southeastern there, but
going over to it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Kaiser just did a tremendous job. I mean, look at the production, just balancing things out. A lot of touches in the backfield, but it starts up front for the Seahawks. I mean, they're so good on both sides of the line of scrimmage and their physicality, and it starts there. And this is an awfully good football team, Jason, and I think they are poised to continue on. They are a darn good football team, and it starts with an extremely good line of scrimmage on both sides. Oh, yeah, that quarterback's pretty good, too.
He's pretty good. What kills me is still, like, you look at the Sun Conference, and they announced, their player of the year. It was not Shea Spencer. And I just feel like, are we the only people that continue to give Shea Spencer his due? That I mean, what he does, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NAIA, one of the most efficient. Like, who else would you, I mean, other than Jackson Waring, 27 to 33, 307, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. The guy does it each and every week, and he continues to do it. Like, the kid's a champion. The kid's the type of guy you want to have leading your program, especially when you got the running game that he does have behind him. But he looked as good as ever today as well. Shea Spencer did.
Absolutely, and it's a balanced attack. I mean, it's not a thing where, I think Kaiser could be one of those teams that lines up and chucks it 60 times a game, and they'd still win.
Yeah.
Just they have a formula of success where it's balanced, and it's complementary football to the run game with their play action RPO game. It's all part of what they do. It all fits because they have such a strong running game. They're so good up front. And then Spencer has all the elements and the complementary pieces to the running game. That's what makes him so dynamic. And then on top of that, he's so timely with making plays with his legs. He's so good at extending plays, getting crucial first downs with his legs. Like you said, Jason, he just does everything well. And he is a guy, he's just a winner. And I completely agree with you. He's a guy you want leading your program. And this is his time of the year, getting down here deep in the playoffs, lead this football program.
Yeah. Really good defensive ball game for Kaiser today. Really limited Southeastern to next to nothing for the majority of this game. And their defense probably a little bit underrated when it comes back to it at the end of the day. I mean, I think they're really good. I think they're a team that, defensively causes a lot of problems for people. And they did that today. Our primetime performance, let's throw that one to Jaden Miller, brought to you by Walgreens. Miller over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. Dynamic running game by holy cow, brain fart, the Seahawks. There we got it. By the Seahawks. All right. So we move onward. We continue on, and William Penn gets the win over Friends University. A game where I thought William Penn really fought in this game. And you look at their statistics and what they did in this game and how they moved the ball offensively. Like, it was a William Penn offensive game the way that you would expect it to be. They ran the ball well. They were pretty efficient passing the ball. They just couldn't do anything to shut down this offense of Friends University.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Jason. We've kind of talked about it all year. And not that Friends has had close games at any point, but it's one of those things like this offense just kind of keeps pace. It's just they're going to get through 2 scores a quarter. It's just what they do. And sometimes, there you go, it's 3 scores a quarter. But it just keeps pace. And you just don't have enough opportunity to stay with that, if that makes sense. That's the issue with this offense. You have to get stops, you have to get the ball back, and you have to keep pace because they're going to limit your time. And I will say this, I think it's, again, obvious statement of the year made because it's a playoff game. I thought William Penn played them better than anyone this year. I thought they were really, really good. I thought they defended the option pretty well. But here's the thing about this option attack, Jason. I watched this game enough to really kind of look at some of the other elements to it. There's so many complementary pieces to it. Like, you think, okay, here comes the midline, here comes the veer concept. Okay, now here's quarterback ISO option. Here is the jet sweep off of this. Here's the deep toss. Here's the quarterback belly where you got numbers at the point of attack. So now you have the safety screaming, oh yeah, here's the wing loading and blocking that guy now. I mean, there's so many complementary pieces to the system. You can't take it all away, Jason. I mean, it's so good. Man, oh man, is it good. And like I said, you just can't keep pace with it. They're just going to outscore you at some point. It may take into the third quarter. And you look at the score, Jason. I mean, William Penn is doing some good things. Just couldn't do it for 4 quarters. You just can't. You can't outscore those guys. You just can't do it right now.
You look at Yeah, you look at the total offense numbers here, 378 for William Penn, pretty decent, 412 for Friends. Obviously, all but 72 of those yards coming on the ground. William Penn kept pace offensively, but, you've got to get a takeaway. You've got to get a stop here and there, and they just didn't do that in the first half and got behind the 8 ball. But, I thought William Penn played a really good football game here. They just couldn't keep up that Friends attack. And you broke it down really well there. I had kind of a one-off conversation with a buddy, and they kind of said, well, what do you do? What do you do against Friends? You just put, 5 down linemen on and just stack the box. And I go, here's the thing, like the way that their concept is, they're going to work through that. You can't force Friends into like, we're going to make them beat us with the pass, because they'll just find a different element of that flex bone offense. Like, okay, you're stacking the box here. We're going to attack this out here. We're going to move this here. We're going to have this misdirection here. They don't care so much how many people you put them all in the box, put all 11 up and go hat for hat. And they're still going to run that. They're not going to try to, okay, now we're going to drop back and, run a bunch of play action passes. It's just not the concept. It's just not what they do there.
Yeah, it's really amazing. They have ways of blocking or essentially attacking. And this is kind of the other element of it. And I'm with you. You can throw option pass or some type of variation where you're throwing a pass off of the support players. That's what you do with option pass. Okay, how is this defense? How is William Penn supporting, our option game with the safety of the corner? You have that pass off of it, right, to attack that. Like, Friends does that occasionally, but they're also doing things to block those guys, have different variations of how to get numbers at the point of attack and blocking support players. So there's other ways that they're going about, okay, here's how we're going to support maybe the pitch phase of the option. Okay, this is also how we're going to block that guy, maybe get, Cavante Baker another opportunity with a loaded block, the quarterback pull. I mean, they're so good at all the different elements of what they do. That system is so thorough. I'll tell you, Jason, I mean, it's as thorough as anything I've seen of the academies. I mean, it really is. That they're getting into it as, okay, you do this, we do this. We have a counter to that. We have a counter to this. You want to play support that way? This is what we do. I mean, it's good stuff. I mean, they are, again, good luck, whoever draws them in.
If you screenshot this, like these statistics right here, Sterling Ramsey, 13 for 23, 205, 4 touchdowns. Destin Loring, 175 yards on the ground and a score. You're going, okay, that's what we want. But, 52 points on the other side to Friends and what those guys do. I mean, it was a very well played ball game by William Penn. Just really, really tough to stop Friends, and it bodes the question that you and I have brought up from time to time: who's going to do it? Who is going to be able to stop that attack? You're going to need some luck. You're going to need some turnovers. You're going to need a lot of things to go your way, because Friends looks as good as anybody in the NAIA right now.
Yeah, but you're going to have to get some luck. I agree with you. You're going to have Friends on a bad day. Like, they're going to have to put the ball on the ground. I'm being serious. Like, it's just one of those things. And I'm going to say this, and I don't mean to beat the dead horse, but then you're also you have 1 week of preparation.
Yeah.
You don't have a calendar year to say, okay, it's KCAC. You have them on the schedule. Oh, no, like Benedictine they just got the pairings. You got to start preparing here for next Saturday's game.
That's going to be a fun one.
It's going to be great, but it's going to be here before you know it. You know what I mean? It's going to be so fast. You still have enough time, like KCAC teams have all summer to like draw up a plan.
Yeah. Well, we're going to spend a couple days, in preseason camp to, look at this a little bit so it's not completely foreign to us. Everybody else,
spring ball,
pretty foreign to you.
We're going to spend 2 full days in spring ball against Flexbone.
Yep.
If I'm a KCAC team and I have friends on my schedule, I'm taking my off season. I'm taking spring ball practice 2 days, my defense, and saying we're going to try to simulate this the best we can, and this is going to be our approach when we play Friends next year. And certainly in June, my staff and I defensively are probably taking a full week. It's like, this is what we're going to do to try to stop Friends Falcons. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And Benedictine's got to do it in 3-4 days. Good luck.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Our Panera Bread primetime performance of this game, we'll give it to Cavante Baker. 15 carries, 86 yards, 3 touchdowns. 1 of 2 passing for 39 yards and a touchdown. So 4 touchdowns for Mr. Baker. Also a good day by Darian Sykes, 119 yards on the ground for that young man. Real nice game offensively. Again, for the Falcons.
8 ball carriers, Jason, something crazy. 7 or 8 ball carriers.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 today. Just 7.
Just 7 ball carriers.
They've had games where there's like 11 or 12 guys touch the ball. Granted,
was it 6 or 7?
Yeah. 6 or 7 ball carriers. 6 or 7. 6 or 7. We're such dorks.
I know.
That's all right. We like to be old and lame. That's why we do this show, because we're old and lame and we have to talk to one another on the internet because nobody else will. We move on. Montana Tech, Carroll College. Tech comes away with the 31-21 victory. A nice win for Tech, but a great performance, I thought, by Carroll to battle back in this one. It was a game that the Saints fell down in early. They lost their starting quarterback. They had to bring the backup in. And how does he respond? Well, he responds by, almost bringing them back to a victory. Montana Tech gets a score in the fourth quarter to come away with the victory, and they get the win, and Montana Tech advances on. They're now 12-0 on the season as they head into the quarterfinals. They'll take on College of Idaho, who we'll talk about here in a little bit. But Montana Tech, I thought, looked good in this game. I thought Carroll College turned some things around in the second half and really made this a battle, but Tech just kind of won this one out.
Tech's a good football team. Got some great weapons. I think they've improved steadily through all the year, and then, really kind of held serve late, not play maybe meaningful games in a while.
Yeah.
I don't think, they came out and, scored 14 in the first quarter, but they had moments. I don't think it wasn't rust necessarily as much for Montana Tech as I thought maybe for Benedictine, of some of the, kind of the predictions we had from last week, the teams that have not played big games in some time. Think the world of this team. I think they're very, very strong. Man, they have some weapons. They had some good players. Can do some things. And like you said, the environment, obviously cold weather doesn't stop the faithful in Butte. They were Buttes in Butte, man. They were just having a great time on Thanksgiving weekend.
Bunch of beauties in Butte.
Bunch of beauties. Rocking the copper, having a great time. So, rivalry game, tremendous. I think it's a great season for Carroll College. Just happy to see them back in the fold and, competing at the national level, because I do think it's important that they are, because it's a blue blood. It was a great game. It's great to see a backup quarterback to come back and get this team back into ended up being a score game, I think, Jason, towards the end, right? I think at the end.
It was 24-21 in the fourth quarter there for a moment, and then Montana Tech got a score, put it out to 31-21, and then kind of ground things out to get the victory.
Yeah. Good football teams, both of these teams. And, I think this conference can be proud of both of these teams. Obviously, look at Montana Tech, the best season in program history, this long tradition. And Carroll College really playing well. We'll talk about another one here coming up.
Yeah, Jarrett Wilson, 11-16 in this ball game, 197, 2 touchdowns. Also ran for 94 yards. Nate Milanowski, 67 yards. Wykeese Johnson, 18 yards on the ground. Nice running game for Tech today, but I really thought they utilized Wilson a lot in that. And then Levi Torgerson with another Levi Torgerson type game, 124 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, also threw for 1, also had some big returns on special teams. I saw a graphic the other day. Somebody was talking about like the NAIA Players of the Year, and the usual suspects were on there. You're Jared, you're Jackson Warings and, just the usual group, but they didn't have Levi Torgerson on there. And somebody asked a question like, any reason why Levi Torgerson's not on this list? I mean, he's kind of done it all a little bit out there. So Quinn Stamps, 187 yards, 3 touchdowns, all in the second half, in relief of Caden Hewitt, who got injured in this game. A great performance, I thought, by Stamps coming off the bench and try to give the Fighting Saints a chance. Xavier Ford, 90 yards rushing. We did say Carroll College was going to have to run the ball to be successful. They just weren't able to run it well enough and efficiently enough in this game to be successful. And the big tight end, Carson Ochoa, 125 yards receiving. I mean, there's 3 really good tight ends in NAIA football. He's one of them. He's going to be an All-American. He'll be on one of the teams. Just don't know if he'll be first or second or third team or just whatever. He's probably, trending towards a first-team All-American the way he's performed this season.
Fantastic player. And I'm with you with Torgerson. He is, again, I don't think he's undervalued, certainly in that conference, maybe nationally, but I think he is dynamic player, and the return game is much offensively too. I mean, he is awesome. There's a lot of things for the Orediggers.
Yeah, it's I'm looking forward to seeing what the Ore Diggers do next week as they face up with College of Idaho again, the team that they had to do battle with earlier this season, and probably gave them their best game out of everybody. Our Hope Credit Union primetime performance, give it to Levi Torgerson, 45 return yards, 50 punt return yards, 124 receiving yards with 2 touchdowns and a passing touchdown. I believe the statistic is he is 5 for 5 passing this year, I think, for 5 touchdowns. Like,
was he a high school
let's
quarterback
go.
or something? Was he like a triple option quarterback?
I don't know.
He's so
I don't know
athletic.
that.
I'd be fun if I was a high school coach.
Well, I think as the story goes, he went to Montana Tech to play basketball.
Really?
I think he originally committed to Tech to play hoops, and then went the football route there too. So
how about that? Wow.
Yeah,
he's a great athlete.
Somebody can scream at us in the comments that I got it wrong and it's a different kid, but I'm nearly positive that's Torgerson. By the way, backing up real quick, I want to back up. So the wife doesn't pay a lot of attention to football and the NAIA stuff. That's like Jason's little hobby. He can do that over here. But we were in the basement where I'm sitting now. I had, a game on this screen, a game on this screen, and a game over there on the big TV. And the game I had on the big TV was Carroll College and Montana Tech. And she has sat around enough with me to hear the different broadcasts and see the different broadcasts. And she says to me, VSN needs to give an award to the best broadcasts out there in the NAIA, and they need to give it to Montana Tech so all the other schools out there can emulate what those guys do for their broadcast. I mean, they do a tremendous job at Montana Tech, and I just can't, I can't say enough about what that entire crew does up there. I mean, it's tremendous. It's one of the best.
I think it's the best, and I think it sounds big time. I absolutely love everything about it. And my favorite part about it is they call them the Digs. I love
the Digs.
The Digs.
Hell yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, they're fantastic. It's a great group. It looks like a big time broadcast. They do a fantastic job. Your wife, she's spot on. It's a great job.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, she's listened to enough games, behind the scenes, and just hearing this here and hearing this there, that she hears some of the broadcasts and she'll kind of give me the look like, what is this? I'm like, it's students are the ones doing the play-by-play. It's
sure.
Fine, but top-notch professional broadcast coming from Montana Tech, and Paul Panisco, their play-by-play guy. Love listening to that guy. I forget the color guy's name too. He does a great job as well.
Yeah, they're pros, right. Man. They're awesome.
Enough glazing of the Montana Tech broadcasts. Glazing. We're glazing on them. All right. This one was probably it was the most tightly contested game of the first round, and was the one that had the biggest chance for an upset late in the game before Benedictine was able to pull this one out. And Pat, I really take this game back to the end of the first half, when Campbellsville had a 12-play drive, and it looked like they were going to go down and go up 21-7 before halftime, and Benedictine was able to get a stop and force a field goal to make it 17-7 at half. And at that moment, I felt like some of that momentum that Campbellsville had in this game, it kind of stopped there. And then we had a little bit of a lull in the third quarter until the blocked punt for the touchdown. And then it was like, all right, Benedictine's back. They're going to figure out a way to do this.
Completely agree. If you remember, Jason, there was a touchdown that got called back on a penalty, and then that led to a couple plays later than the field goal. Totally agree with you. Kind of the air out of the balloon, if you will, of the momentum of the Tigers. And you got to give Campbellsville a ton of credit. It's a long trip, and they battled. And I thought this was the best, by far the best road effort. I think I should say by far, because I thought Carroll, it's a 60-mile trip though. This is a long trip, and I thought Campbellsville really put forth a pretty darn good effort. And they really did. It competed. We like the Campbellsville Fighting Tigers, man. I've been a fan for multiple years. It's one of those things where they had opportunities, certainly, like you mentioned, inside the red zone, could have really put a pretty good lead together before halftime, had to settle for a field goal, had a lead late in the fourth, and just kind of let it slip away. Even had an opportunity late, then turned it over late.
Yep.
As a drive kind of progressed, getting into the Benedictine side of the field and turned it over. So this was, I think, the most evenly matched game, if you will. I think these teams, I think if this game's in Campbellsville, Kentucky, Jason, I think Campbellsville wins the game, to be very honest.
Probably so, yeah.
I think Benedictine's a great football team, but I think these two teams it was definitely the best matchup, I think, of this second round. So,
well, I think we really thought it could be. If the right Campbellsville team showed up, we knew that this game could potentially be the best game on the schedule, and it turned out that it was.
Yeah. Campbellsville's one of those teams, Jason, again, we talked about time and time again. This team could make a deep run, get to the second round. They could have won this game. And here, we could be probably having them go to Lindsey Wilson. I mean, this could easily have happened.
You think anybody's going to talk about that stat?
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. It's a great season for Campbellsville, but again, I think there's still another step they can take. I think they stubbed their toe in a game that doesn't really make a lot of sense, losing to Cumberland, Tennessee. Probably shouldn't lose to Georgetown. This is not, in my opinion, the way they played Lindsey Wilson, who I think pretty darn good football team. They're not a 2-loss team. I mean, they're better than that. You don't lose games you're not supposed to lose.
Well,
you don't lose to a Georgetown team. You don't lose to a Cumberland team that's, what are they, 7-3 team? Georgetown's a 7-3 team. Campbellsville shouldn't lose games like that. I think they made some strides this year, make a deep playoff run in round 2. But they should be hosting this round, Jason. That's the type of team I think
exactly where I was going to go with that. I was going to say, the difference is they had to play this game on the road because of those losses, and they lost 21-17. You get this game at home, and you're probably not playing Benedictine, but you get this game at home, you're playing in the quarterfinals. Like Campbellsville, if they would have been able to get a home game and have somebody come in there and play, they're more than likely playing in the quarterfinals this week instead of being out in the second round. But another great performance. Yep. Another great performance by Trey Bass, 23 carries, 189 yards. He's one of the best in the NAIA all around at the position. He's been very good. But Benedictine, it wasn't a lot of passing in this game. It was really a lot of ground game. And Xavier Ugorji and Dalton Witherspoon both had over 100 yards in this game. Witherspoon had 2 touchdowns. So a real nice job by the Ravens running the football and running it successfully. And that ended up, they didn't have a lot of weather there, not like Grandview, but they had snow coming down. They had moisture in the air, and that running game really proved dividends for them today once they got into that situation.
Yeah. Benedictine's a good football team. And again, It's one of those things where they were really tested. I think probably the best team that had to go on the road with distance with Campbellsville. And again, probably a team that should have been hosted in this round if they took care of their business on their end, like you mentioned. It's a tough challenge for Benedictine, and it's probably a good thing because Benedictine has not played, like we talked about a week ago, a really, really meaningful game in some time. They probably needed this game because guess what's coming? A whole lot of flex bone.
A whole lot of running the football everywhere.
A whole lot of systematic flex bone that's going to be a challenge. So games are going to matter, a heck of a lot here with a very, very good football team from Kansas coming up. They're going down there, yeah.
They're going down.
It's weird because it was 3. Now we got. That's the whole. I forgot about that thing.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. A little storyline.
Storyline with the old rankings.
Our primetime performances for this game, we're going to give them to the running backs for Benedictine, Xavier Ugorji and Dalton Witherspoon, both over 100 yards. Witherspoon with 2 scores. Ugorji with 123 yards on the ground. They get the primetime performance. All right, we move on. Where are we at?
Almonds.
Everybody loves almonds. I got
almonds.
Oh no, sorry. I got pistachios over here next to me. I was hitting the pistachios today. Dort Marion gets the victory 26-18 in a game that was 20-2 going into the fourth quarter. The Knights find a way at home. Again, home field advantage being what it is. Dort did come back. It took them a while to get going in this game, but Marion gets the victory to advance on. And again, we point out that Marion's probably been one of the more slept-on teams this year in NAIA football, just for the simple fact that they lost the first game of the year to UIndy. They started rated low, but since then, they've beat everybody that they've played in the NAIA. So Marion at 11-1 right now, Pat, pretty quality playoff team that's going to go on the road.
really, really good football team. This is the closest game they've had in some time. And you got to give credit to Dort to come back and make this competitive in the end. Production's kind of weird. Look at the stat lines, kind of strange. Keegan LaBelle was very productive in the run game. Not a lot of pass yards. Now, the weather was a challenge again. So the weather kind of swept through the entire Midwest. And it hit Indianapolis really late. I think late last night, early Saturday morning. Sorry,
they started seeing
Saturday morning.
They weren't clearing snow off of the field before game time, but they were having to clear snow as the game was happening. Yeah,
that was a challenge, certainly. The passing game was kind of, nil, if you will. But again, they have one of the best, physical running backs in the country and a good offensive line, Marion. So LaBelle was really the bell cow today and did a good job. But again, you look at it, it's kind of crazy. Dort outgains Marion over 100 yards. It's kind of crazy. And again, there was a pretty significant lead that the Knights had going into the fourth quarter. Dort's a good football team. And again, they had a tremendous season. I think you got to give the Dort defense credit once again. They've been strong all season long. That's a tough trip. It's a tough place to play, tough conditions. And they put really pretty good playoff game together. And again, you got to give them credit and a pretty good defensive performance.
Yeah. And Dort, like you said, a nice offensive performance on the road. Can't turn the ball over, though. 3 interceptions in this ball game. And it put Marion in good field position a couple times to get a score off of that. But I don't think Dort has anything at all to be ashamed of about their performance today. I mean, they went on the road. They had to play a really good Marion team, and they battled to the point that they had an opportunity to win it, in the fourth quarter, or at least tie it in the fourth quarter. But Marion did pull out the victory. You mentioned Keegan LaBelle, 27 carries, 138 yards, and a score there. Tristan Polk, efficient day, 100 yards passing. No interceptions. That's key. To not turn the ball over, especially at home. And they got the victory. Real nice performance by the Knights to get the win and now to get into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think it was Jason too. It was 5 total turnovers for the defenders.
Yeah,
turnover 5 times. You can't do that. Can't do it in a playoff game. I know it's tough conditions, but you certainly can't give short fields to a strong running football team with a great offensive line like Marion. And again, that's probably a portion of maybe the discrepancy in production. Short fields,
Yep.
So again, Marion capitalized on those opportunities, scored touchdowns. LaBelle is such a good short yardage back, Jason. Again, anytime you're in the red zone, that guy, good luck tackling him.
Yep.
Strong player. They're so good up front, and they really do a great job capitalizing on opportunities. And they have all year. Done a really good job. It's a good football team.
It really is. I had somebody message me and say, well, is this the end of an era for the GPAC? Because the Great Plains Athletic Conference lost both games today, which it means it's the first time since 2011 the GPAC has not won a game in the postseason. And I just say no. I mean, it's still a really good conference. They both had byes. Don't forget that. Let's not forget, the reason that the GPAC was playing this week was because both teams had byes. They had tough draws. Both of them had to go on the road. So it's just a blip. It's just that little blip in the radar before the entire conference. And even Dort, reloads for next year. And I think we see this, every year with Dort. They got a win in the playoffs a couple of years ago over Ottawa. Okay. And then they, had to play kind of some local. Now they've gone on the road for a big game and played a big time team in NAIA football in Marion. So now they've seen that. So it's just that little evolution. If you go back 20 years, Morningside was doing the same thing. Morningside was beating everybody in the conference but Sioux Falls, and then they had to get out, and then all of a sudden they started winning some of those games. They got into the semifinals, and then you get there as a program. It certainly doesn't happen overnight, although for some programs, Kaiser, it has happened a little bit overnight. You just got to be patient and play things out. The Walgreens prime time performance in this game, Keegan LaBelle, no surprise, 27 carries, 138 yards, and a touchdown. All right, this one, 24-0. And then Lindsey Wilson is just like, okay, now we'll do it now because we feel like it. And they come away and they get the victory. I mean, holy cow, man.
So I think I said 66 over under. You said 74 or 73.
Yeah. It was definitely, I think I said, yeah, I might've said I know I definitely said in the 70s, but
You said
yeah.
70s. I said high 60s, and I was incredibly conservative. Yeah, this is crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
unbelievable offense. Wow. Where do you want to start?
Well, let's do this. I'll go ahead and get the old statistics pulled up here. We can just start right there. All right.
Wow.
So you can see the scoring: 14-0, 21-0, 24-0, with $157 left to play in the half. 24-0 at half, Pat. How many games have you coached in where you're up 24-0 or better at halftime and went, all right, feeling good about this? Then a late score by Lindsey Wilson with 7 seconds left. Devontae Sanders, gets a little rumble, makes it 24-8. Okay. All right. So you go into halftime 24-8, you're still feeling good, right?
Sure.
Quick score, 10:53 left. All right, 24-16. All right. What happens there? Oh, guess what? I think if I remember right, on the ensuing drive, Indiana Wesleyan turned the ball over. So Lindsey Wilson gets a little bit of a short field here, or maybe not short field. Anyway, they score on this one, 24-22. They turn around again, get another score. Okay, 29-24. Things are starting to go pear-shaped. We've got 4:59 left in the third. It's now 36-24. Things are really going pear-shaped. 3 minutes later, we get an Indiana Wesleyan score. All right, 36-31. We're back in the ball game, kids. All right, we're back in the game. This is what we expected to happen. And then it was just Lindsey Wilson, one after another, 43-31, 50-51, 57-31. I mean, holy cow. Lindsey Wilson just kept putting it on them. And the one thing that they did is they really forced Indiana Wesleyan to make mistakes late in the second quarter and in the third and fourth quarters. I mean, 5 interceptions in this game for Indiana Wesleyan. That's a statistic that we have not seen from an Indiana Wesleyan offense, I think, since I started doing this. And it just Lindsey Wilson took advantage of it. No turnovers by Lindsey Wilson in this ball game, and they come away and get the win.
It's one of those things, like, we kind of talked about this, and not that we're like great prognosticators, but we really did kind of call this, that, we kind of, again, we knew there's going to be great offense. Is there going to be any defense? But we said we thought Lindsey Wilson maybe had more playmakers on the back end, especially kind of those ball hawks, creating turnovers, those interception situations, because they've done it all year. They really have. Those back end guys have created some turnovers for the Blue Raiders time and time again. We've seen that this year. And Indiana Wesleyan just kind of, they've had a great season, certainly, no question. But they've given up points, and we've seen that consistently. So we knew this was going to be a high-scoring contest, but Lindsey Wilson, to get back in this game down 24-0, created turnovers and got opportunities for their offense to get back in this thing and take a pretty substantial lead in late the third quarter. So, I mean, this thing was crazy.
Yeah, it's just an insane.
88 points, Jason. I'm thinking high 60s. 88 points as the over-under. Unbelievable.
Absolutely incredible. Tate Rice with a great performance, 22 of 35 passing for 382, 4 touchdowns. Again, no interceptions. Devontae Sanders, just under 100 yards in this game, but still 3 touchdowns on his 79 yards. Stephen Mack, who's also had a couple whale performances this year as well, got a touchdown in this game, 53 yards. I believe Max Gainey became the all-time leading receiver for Lindsey Wilson in this game. 188 yards receiving and a touchdown. Kaya Sherrard, 86 yards. You see all the stats there. I mean, it's one of those games, and obviously Lindsey Wilson, like, as their staff and as a team, it's like, see, this is adversity. 24-0. We came back. That's the sort of thing that when it happens in the postseason, if you're the next team to face them, which is going to be the number 1 team in the country in Grandview, that's a dangerous spot to be in, because this team's got a lot of confidence, and you could get up on them 21-0, which Grandview does to people. And this team's not going to have any doubt. They're not going to have any doubt that, oh, we can't do this. They're going to say, we just did this like a week ago. It was 24-0. Like, here we go. Let's do this again.
Being on that side of it, Jason, that's an unbelievable point you just made. Having a galvanizing moment like this, that you can do something like that, 24-0, late in the second, get a score, and you work your way back and put those kind of points together and win a game like that. The belief that creates in your locker room, that's incredible. And going against the defending national champion, That's not a big deal. I mean, in their minds,
Yeah.
they have such belief. Yeah, Indiana Wesleyan's a perennial power. I mean, they just accomplished something pretty great. Now, that was on their home turf. You got to travel now. But at the same time, there is a great belief. There's a great confidence if you're Lindsey Wilson and you know that you can score points. Yeah, you're going to get some great defense. But we believe in ourselves that we can put forth unbelievable. We have great production. We can score points. We can score points on anybody. We believe that. And I tend to agree with that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking for. I'm going to tell you right now. Sneak preview here I know we're going to get into the whole matchups for round 3. This is the game I'm looking forward to the most.
100%.
Lindsey Wilson at Grandview. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic.
The Panera Bread primetime performance in this game. Tate Rice, 22 of 35, 382 passing, 4 touchdowns in this game. He had 18 yards rushing as well on 2 carries. So as efficient as you want as a quarterback in a game like this to bring you back from being down 24-0. A great game by him. Max Gainey, you just we'll throw you in there. Nobody says I only have to do one primetime performance. Max Gainey, you're in there too, 188 yards on 9 catches. It's a whale of a day for him there as well.
Hey, Panera Bread's got a lot of stuff in their menu. You have multiple guys in play the game. Why not?
We go out to Caldwell, Idaho for the final game of this round. College of Idaho gets a 37. Excuse me. This score is screwed up. 30. No, yeah, it was 37-19. They got the late score. Right. Oh, that's a whole thing to talk about. Anyway, we're not going to talk about it. 37-19. College of Idaho gets the win. They advance on to the quarterfinals. At College of Idaho, they just kept Morningside at like arm's length the entire game. They just kept them there, and they didn't let them get too close, and they were able to get this victory.
College of Idaho knows how to win football games. I think they are very, very smart in their approach. Coach Morosky's a good football coach. He knows what he's doing. Heck yeah. He's been around. Yeah. He was a great player. Those that don't know, Coach Morosky played in the NFL.
Yeah.
Played extremely high level. He knows how to coach. He's coached at a high level and the FCS level, started this great program, and they are on the rise. And he knows what the heck he's doing. And I love their approach. They've kind of done it all year, Jason, offensively. They're very methodical.
Yep.
They love their no-huddle, yes. It looks like they're kind of going up-tempo. They're lining up quickly. But what they're doing, they're letting the defense show their hand. And Coach Morosky's just looking at what we're getting and saying, we're going to call the proper play for the look. And they are incredibly productive. They're very balanced in what they do. And then on top of that, Jason, so offensively, they're very methodical, and they're going to create opportunities and successful looks and plays based on what they're seeing. And they play great defense, tremendous defense, and then good special teams. So this is a all-around good football team and good program. And this was a very, very good home victory against, again, maybe the best NAIA coach right now out there.
Yeah.
He's won 3 national championships. That says something to beat a Morningside program, the way they did. And I think the world of Morningside, obviously, but this is a great win for COI. Really, really good playoff win. And they did it with great defense and very, very strong, balanced offense. Again, methodical approach. This was a great team win for the Coyotes.
Yeah, it really was. The Yotes did a lot of things really well. We'll get into all the statistics here. But as you can see in the third quarter, 23-19, Morningside back in it. And then on the ensuing drive after that, College of Idaho goes down the field in 5 plays, 75 yards to go up 30-19. And that was really when you felt like, okay, they've got control of this game. They were able to get a late score with 12 seconds left. I do need to rewatch the film on that. I had some people kind of complaining like, oh, they didn't need to get that score. Well, a timeout was called, and then another timeout was called. And then they kind of ran a fake clock and then threw it in the end zone and got another score to make it 37-19. I mean, it's a win. You play to the whistle. You play to the end of the ball game. It's the postseason. You can't say, oh, they're running it up on them. But they got the win. And, hey, the worst thing that probably happened there is now everybody knows College of Idaho's got that play in their arsenal. So be aware of that. Total offense, 449 for College of Idaho in this game, 180 of those yards passing, 269 of them on the ground. I mean, they've really done a great job this year of making that run game a priority because I felt like for the last couple of years, it was College of Idaho slinging the ball, and they kind of ran it a little bit too. Well, now they're running the football as good as anybody out there. Travis Mariero, the wide receiver, he did technically have 78 yards rushing in this game. Riley Byington, 78 yards, and the quarterback Caden Young goes over 100 yards rushing in this game, 180 passing. I mean, what a great game by Young and the Yotes to get this victory.
Yeah, it's just such good balance. I mean, again, it's +1 running game, it's zone read option. They're just so good in what they do. It's Coach Morawski's system that's been so great with Andy Peters previously. They're back to where they were, I think, 2 years ago, Jason. We kind of talked about that the last handful of weeks as they started making this great push. Following the Montana Tech game, and I'm going to give them tons of credit. Montana Tech, they lost that game. Again, we're going to get a preview to next week, but they lost that game. But I tell you what, they made a valiant effort in a comeback in the fourth quarter of that game some time ago, late October, I think it was, or late September even. It's that long ago.
I think it was the last week of September, yeah.
Yeah, and that was the best game that Montana Tech has seen all year, from someone. And I think it was a good COI game. And they've kind of built from there. And, I think that was a great situation for them to play a great team like Montana Tech. And they were on the rise from there. They absolutely blew the doors off Carroll College. And have played tremendous football since then. And I'm telling you what, I bet this team is just chomping at the bit for another opportunity at Montana Tech. And they are playing as good as they have played in 2 years right now. And they're confident, riding high. They're well coached. They play good, solid championship level team. Again, they play all three phases exceptionally well. And I tell you what, we're not talking about this defense yet, Jason. I think this is a tremendous, tremendous Coyote defense. They are fantastic. Starts up front too. Very, very good in the box. Tremendous in the box.
The College of Idaho is doing a lot of things really well, and I'm looking forward to the rematch that they're going to have. Our primetime performance in this game, Caden Young, 101 yards rushing, 180 passing, 3 touchdowns, throwing the ball, only had 1 interception in this game to that Morningside defense. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the statistics in this game, you mentioned the offense, holding Morningside to 361. Those are pretty good numbers. I mean, 361, I think a lot of offenses would definitely take that, but to hold Morningside to that in a playoff game, I think it speaks worlds of what your defense does, and to keep them under 100 yards rushing, I think it tells you a lot about maybe how next week's game could go. So that does get us, Pat, into the quarterfinal round and an opportunity to look at these matchups. And we've got some really good ones. We'll jump right into it with Lindsey Wilson and Grandview. I mean, I understand the pairings, why they did the pairings the way they did. You're not going to fly College of Idaho someplace. You're going to put them on a bus. You're sending them to Tech. So the lowest seed remaining is going to go to Tech. Well, the next lowest seed remaining is Lindsey Wilson at the 7 seed. So they go to Grandview is how the committee was looking at this, at least how I've been able to surmise that they are going to be doing it here. I lost a light. Interesting. So Lindsey Wilson now goes to Grandview in a game offensively that I think could get pretty crazy, man.
Yeah. I mean,
don't mind me.
This is the game I'm looking forward to the most. I mean, it's the first one we're going to preview for next week in round 3. I am looking forward to this the most because of a couple reasons. I think Lindsey Wilson has the most dynamic, balanced attack, both run and pass. I think they have tremendous weapons that can give Grandview fits. I believe that. Now, here's the real question. This is where I think kind of rubber meets the road. Can they defend the run game of Waring and company?
Yeah.
The offensive line of Grandview, I think, and then the running attack, the battery of the backfield with Waring. However they want to use it. They use multiple backs on Saturday, and how they deployed those guys. And then Waring really didn't have to run a heck of a lot against USF, again, conditions, whatever it may be. They didn't really deploy his legs much in their attack. I think he will in this game because I think that is going to be the big thing that they want to use against against Lindsey Wilson, in that hopefully the conditions are good, because I want to see both these teams at their best in good weather conditions. I hope that things thaw out to some level and we have good weather, because I think this is an incredibly interesting matchup, because Grandview up front versus the Lindsey Wilson defensive front. And I think Lindsey Wilson can match up now, Jason, on the perimeter with Grandview. I do. And then on the flip side of that, this great Viking defense against this high-powered offense, that's going to be fun to watch. So I think those kind of elements back and forth and that, those matchups back in offense and defense is going to be really fun to see.
Yeah, a quick aside for what you mentioned there, we want to see these guys, playing in a game where conditions are favorable. Well, Saturday, high of 31, low of 15, mostly cloudy. Does not look like any moisture happening this week in Des Moines as I pull up the extended forecast. Of course, this is, we're recording this on Saturday night. So weather changes, obviously. But right now, looking like what we could have next Saturday in Des Moines could be a favorable track to see both of these teams pretty much at their best. My take on this is a lot like yours, Pat. I think Lindsey Wilson, they can run the football. They obviously can showed this week that they can throw it as well. How Grandview handles the running game of Mack and Saunders in the backfield, I think will kind of dictate how that Lindsey Wilson offense is able to go. Because even though Lindsey threw for a bunch of yards today, their bread and butter is still having the ability to run the football in situations where they need to, being able to grind things out with those good backs. And if Grandview's defense shuts down that run game a little bit and forces them to pass in those situations, I think it's going to play towards an advantage for the Vikings. The Vikings, on the other hand, we have not seen Jackson Waring get loose this year yet. And I feel like this is a game where, we might see him run the football a little bit more. And that's going to be advantageous for the Vikings, because outside of last year's national championship game, we haven't seen Waring have to put on or be asked to put on a performance like that again. It could happen this coming Saturday if need be. Grandview's just got so many weapons on offense, and the fact that they're not using Waring as a major weapon running the football yet is a little bit scary. But he's got Toki at the wide receiver position. He's got some great running backs that are able to tote the rock and get down the field and do a lot of things. Really nice tight end play as well. We know about how great that defense is, only giving up 12.5 points per game. So this is of all the matchups, and they're all great matchups. This is great quarterfinal matchups that we've got. This is the game I'm most interested to see, because I think Lindsey Wilson is just another test. You go back to the Benedictine game for Grandview this year, and that was a major test for Grandview. The Vikings were able to prevail. Well, now they're going to see another team a lot like what Benedictine brought to the table earlier this season, and maybe a little bit better, a little more seasoned team that knows itself a little bit more and has now been through a very adverse situation where they came back and won. It's going to make it for a very interesting game between Lindsey Wilson and Grandview on Saturday. All right, we move on. Quarterfinals. Kaiser gets Marion. Also, very excited about this game. I feel like Marion, they had a little test this week against Dort. They've got everything kind of wrapped up and ready to go, and they're going to go to West Palm Beach to take on a Kaiser football team that I feel like these two teams match up very well with one another, Pat. I mean, nice offensive line play, good defensive line play, an offense that can sling the ball and throw it, that's very reliant on their running backs being able to get production running the football. They're very similar teams if you think about it.
I think you nailed it, Jason. They're incredibly similar. I think Kaiser may be a little more dynamic with speed in the skill positions, but I think their approach and their philosophies, both sides of the ball, are very similar. Yep. I totally agree with you. And I'm telling you right now, I know Coach Karras pretty well. He is chomping at the bit and excited about jumping on a plane, jumping on a bird, and getting out of the central Indiana in the snow to go to South Florida. And he's going to get his guys ready, and they are going to play a good football game in South Florida come Saturday. I think Marion's going to be throwing haymakers Saturday in South Florida. I believe that. I just think this is Coach Karras time, where he's going to really get the Knights ready to roll. I think Kaiser's probably an overall more talented team, but I do believe the coaching aspect and the experience and the juice that Coach Karras has in that staff, I do believe that accounts for something. And I think, the flight, and I think Coach Karras does a good job. And I know Coach Karras pretty well. He creates something. I mean, he has such energy and positive energy that he creates and vibes that jump on a plane for them and say, hey, guys, we're going to Florida. How great is this?
Yeah.
Just such positive messages and energy he creates. It's so cool. And he's just one of those players, coaches that I think these guys can rally around him and put forth a pretty good effort come Saturday. And it's going to be a good football game. I believe that.
I think so too. I mean, I think both teams have got tremendous offensive lines, tremendous defensive lines, really good running backs, quarterbacks that are seasoned in their position and leaders, and that the team looks to for leadership. It's just one of those games that if Grandview and Lindsey Wilson weren't on the schedule, we'd be sitting there going, man, Kaiser Marion, like holy cow, how about that one? I mean, that is going to be a great matchup. I look at things, the fact that Kaiser's got home field, their head coach this week was out. My expectation is he probably is not coaching next Saturday as well. They may announce something about that. They may not announce something about that. But the fact that, you're down a head coach and you're playing inspired football. Hey man, you don't want to let this guy down. You don't want to be the team that loses at home in the quarterfinals, because you didn't do all the things that he had prepared you for and that staff prepared you for throughout the entire season. So I'm super excited about Kaiser and Marion. I think Kaiser has the advantage, obviously at home. I think they're a little deeper at the running back position. They got a few more weapons there than what Marion does. And I feel like Shea Spencer throws the ball, but it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one coming up next weekend in West Palm. All right, a rematch, if you will. The Ore Diggers taking on the Yotes. Frontier Conference playing a lot of Frontier Conference teams in this week and next week, but a rematch that I'm sure the Yotes are happy to see. A chance for them to try to avenge their only loss of the season, a 27-24 loss that they had back in September. Montana Tech trying to keep stride and keep getting better each and every week here. So this also will be a great game, Pat.
Great game. I think if you go back to late September when these two teams did battle then, great football game. I think College of Idaho really made a valiant effort to get back in the game. If I remember, Jason, just off the top of my head, it's been some time ago. I think it was like a 2-score game going into the fourth. College of Idaho made a 1-score game. Really kind of pushed.
It may have been a 3-score game going into the fourth.
Then I think they kind of pushed it to a 1-score game. It really was competitive at the end. But I'm telling you right now, I think, and again, I'm repeating myself from earlier, but I think College of Idaho has gotten progressively better each and every week since that point. So I think they feel pretty good about where they are right now, and they're excited about this opportunity to go into Butte and have another crack at them. And I'll tell you what, Jason, you look around, whether it be the NFL, whether it be any level of college football, I'm seeing in Division II some of the rematches. The rematches are not going well with that team that won the first round, the first time they played.
Yep.
I'm seeing it. A couple of my buddies in Division II that happened to. So anyway, College of Idaho is very hot right now, Jason, and I think they feel good about themselves. I think they're excited for this opportunity. They're incredibly well coached, and they play playoff style football, strong defensively, stopping the run, and they run the ball well. They play good special teams. So I think that's a great formula. I think Montana Tech is fantastic. I think they're wonderful. A great home field advantage, which I think is a definite advantage for them. But this is going to be a classic game. I think this is going to be, do I dare say this is the most down-to-the-wire competitive game this round? Yeah. I think it might be. I think this may be the best game. If you want to see this, the most competitive down, maybe final drive type situation, this might be it.
Well, and it's a game that's less sexy because it's a rematch and it's Frontier Conference against one another. The thing we love about the playoffs is when, hey, Lindsey Wilson's going to play Grandview. Hey, Marion is going to get Kaiser. Oh, look at this. Benedictine is going to go in the same state to play a team that's not in their conference. Like, these are all games that we dream all year about. we talk about this game less, and it doesn't have as much hype because it is a Frontier Conference game, but it could be the best game on the schedule. Going back to your earlier point, it's 27-10 at the end of the third quarter, and then College of Idaho scored with 12:33 left to play in the ball game, made it 27-17, then scored again with 9:56 left to make it 27-24. So we already know that this has the potential to be a very close game. The two things that I think are a big factor in this game, one, the rushing defense of College of Idaho. Granted, these statistics I did not update with this week's stats, but it's all pretty much the same. 71 yards allowed is what they had coming into this week. Montana Tech wants to run the football. They need to run the football, and I think the Yotes rushing defense has gotten better. I also think the Yotes rushing attack has gotten better from the first time that they played Montana Tech, and Montana Tech is only allowing about 80 yards on the ground per game. So one of these two teams is going to figure it out a little bit better than the other team about how to run the football against one another. That's going to open up, the Marianos of the world, the Levi Torgersons of the world to have big plays if one of these teams can establish the run a little bit better and take some of that pressure off the offense. So I think, like you said, Pat, and you said so well, this has potential to be the best game, the most well-played game, the most tightly contested game of this round. We move on because we said we'd do an hour and we're doing over an hour. We can never stick to a schedule. Benedictine at Friends, the Sunflower State, the rivalry that never was but now is in the quarterfinals, as we've got an all-bird game too, if you will. Falcons and Ravens going against one another. All the comparisons that you can draw. Two great young head coaches, if you will, and Terry Harrison and Joel Osborne, who are, I don't want to say relative newcomers because they've been around the NAIA for a while, but two programs that are trying to take the next step. Benedictine got bounced out of the semis last year. They're trying to get back to the semis this year. You got to win the quarters, obviously, to get there. And Friends trying to prove that they are now a national power. And in order to prove it, you got to win this game at home. And you got to get to the semifinals. Pat, this one is also going to be another interesting matchup. Where do you go with it? What are your thoughts?
I don't know.
Yeah, can Benedictine defend the run? Can they slow down what Friends does offensively? And can Benedictine get their passing game going? Granted, they had weather that they were contending with this week against Campbellsville, but they throw for 264 a game, and Dooley's got to be able to stretch the field with his tight end Tanner Zimmerman, with his wide receivers like Titan Osborne, those guys. The Ravens have got to be able to get something done on offense against a very good Friends defense, and I think that they're going to have some problems running the football against Friends. Friends defends the run really well, as you can see. Gorgie and Witherspoon, they're going to get their carries, but Benedictine has to make up for it with the pass this week.
Yeah, I think Benedictine has to. First off, you have to get a couple extra possessions for Dooley. I think you have to, because I said earlier, Friends keeps pace. They're going to score in 2 possessions a quarter. They're going to. That's what they've done every single game this season against playoff opponents, and I think they do it probably against Benedictine as well. Can Benedictine, I guess my big question, Jason, can Benedictine outscore Friends? I think the answer is yes, they can. Especially, I guess they're on the road. I keep thinking this is in Atchison. No, it's going to be in Wichita, isn't it?
That's another storyline right then and there.
Yeah, I keep thinking this is in Atchison. No. Yes, they can. They can outscore. They can keep pace and outscore because of Jacksonville in the passing game. They have great balance. Yes, I understand that, but I think it's the passing game that has to be quick strike and put kind of Friends behind the 8 ball a little bit to say, okay, yeah, we are a flexbone triple option team that is a run-centric team, but yet Benedictine's up 14-0 against us. That puts pressure on us. Like, if I'm Benedictine, I have to have that mindset as a coach. I'm saying, okay, guys, we got to put them in a position where they're uncomfortable. They've been uncomfortable all year. We have to find a way to make them uncomfortable. The way we can do that is maybe quick strike up to some level. At the same time, you have to be very calculated in the way you do that. So this is a tough one, Jason, because no one has stopped Friends all year. No one.
Yep. No.
Can Benedictine, I think to some level, can Benedictine outscore Friends? In theory, yes. But this is quite the task in the way this flex bone, this triple option attack is run. And you have 4 days to get ready for it. It's going to be quite a challenge. It's in Wichita, which is a whole other thing. We're going to get into it. This is quite interesting. And to me, this is the most interesting game. I will say that. And we kind of talked about, hey, this is the best game. This is the most interesting game, I think. And I'm not sure what's going to happen here, to be very honest. I wouldn't bet this game either way. I wouldn't. But it's going to be quite interesting how this all shakes out.
This game, I think it comes down to turnovers both ways, because I feel like Benedictine is going to have to sling it around the yard a little bit. They're going to have to throw it. And if they turn the ball over throwing it, if Dooley throws an interception or two and gives a possession back to Friends, that's very dangerous. The other way that you go too is if Benedictine's defense can force a fumble, force some turnovers, do that whole thing and gain a couple possessions, then it kind of swings Benedictine's way. So turnovers really could, swing this game from being a 35-31 slugfest to a 42-20 game. And who knows how that goes? Who knows who's the winner on that one? And then the other thing that we're talking about, for those of you that haven't been keeping up, Benedictine in the NAIA coaches poll basically set at number 4 to start the season, moved up to number 3 when Morningside lost, and they were there the entire season. Then when they went to seed the postseason, Benedictine did have the one loss to Grandview. Montana Tech and Friends were both undefeated, so the committee rewarded those teams by putting them at Montana Tech at number 3, Friends at 4, and Benedictine moves to 5. What that does is that means Benedictine has to travel this week. So there's a whole thing about Benedictine feeling like maybe they're a little bit slighted and they should be hosting this game. So there's a little bit more fuel that gets fired into this game. Is Benedictine fired up that we should be hosting this game? And there was a moment I was kind of watching that Montana Tech game. I was like, now, wait a second. If Carroll comes back in this game, and they get the win, well, now, Montana Tech would be out, and then Benedictine would be the next team in line to host, and we wouldn't have seen this matchup then. Ifs and uts, ifs, ands, buts, candies, nuts, all that whole thing. Whatever.
Just talk about your aunt.
Yeah, I won't do that.
Your aunt, yeah, never mind.
She'd be the king. What? No.
Yeah, something.
So Benedictine, we've gone off the rails.
Yeah,
Benedictine and Friends, going to be a very tightly contested game. It's as even as I can think of it to be. I probably give Friends a little bit of an advantage at home. And with the fact that Benedictine only has a certain number of days to prepare for that offense, I give the advantage to Friends. But, man, this is going to be a fantastic football game. And that is a look at what happened in round 2 and what gets us into the quarterfinals in the battle for the Red Banner. Anything that we forgot, Pat, before we wrap things up here? We've gone 12 minutes over our promised hour.
No, I think we kind of hit on things as we were covering the matchups of kind of our predictions. I think the most exciting game obviously is and the game I'm looking forward to the most is the Lindsey Wilson Grandview. I think the most interesting is Friends and Benedictine. I think the teams that are most similar are Marion and Kaiser in great weather. So I think that's kind of a fun thing. And I think I'm looking forward to Coach Karras, man. He's going to get those guys going, man, frothing at the mouth to go down, jump on a plane and go down to South Florida. And then the other one, what am I missing?
The best matchup, Montana Tech.
Montana Tech, College Rideout. And I think those are two teams obviously know each other exceptionally well. It's a rematch. I think COI is playing so much better than they were when they played the first time. And Montana Tech had a great football game yesterday. So they're back in the swing of things, playing meaningful football, even though they've kind of blown the doors off everybody all year in a 12-0 team. So I'm looking for 11-0 team. I'm looking forward to all these matchups. Yesterday, Saturday is what it was.
Yeah.
Home teams won, weird weather day. It is what it is. There's some good games, exciting games, but yet I think this is where these teams, I think all these teams, these matchups, Jason, all can win the national championship. I'm going to say that. I think every one of these teams can win the national championship.
You stole my thunder a little bit to say, like, anything that happens this round would not surprise me, because I think we've got the best 8 teams in NAIA football, and all
absolutely.
8 teams, I think, are capable of being a national champion. There's not been very many times that we've gone into the quarterfinals, Pat, and I felt that strongly that all 8 teams could potentially come away with a national championship. We're really deep this year in NAIA football, and we've got 8 solid ones. And I think that just goes to show, like, that there's a reason why they all had home games. There's a reason why they all won this round. All of them have got that opportunity to, hoist the Tom Osborne Trophy here in a few weeks in December.
Completely agree. Every one of these teams have an opportunity. And I would not be shocked if any of them have the red banner at the end of this thing. Would not be shocked at all.
If home teams went 0-4 this week, would not be shocked.
Nope.
It's that is how competitive this round is, and we're just going to have some great football games this round. I'm really looking forward to next Saturday, and I think my schedule's pretty well free next Saturday too, so I can really, well, until I get something thrown on my schedule, and then it won't be. But
I'm going to be in Michigan again
for hockey again.
I live in Michigan. I don't live in Michigan. I'm a resident of Indiana, but I basically live in Michigan this time of year. I'm in Michigan now, if you couldn't tell. This is not like a backdrop. This is actually a hotel room.
Yeah.
I'm in now.
Well, and the reason that we're doing this, Pat was going to be available. This is pre-recorded for those of you that didn't hear us at the beginning. The reason that we're doing this is not because Pat has hockey, although that might play in. It could potentially play in for tomorrow. But I am going to be the photographer for a wedding tomorrow or today, depending on when you're watching this. Just click, 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 taking pictures. Move in a little closer. Smile. Could you get the child in there? Could you have the child look this way? Hi, over here. And that's my Sunday.
You're the man of many talents. Look at you.
I'm the man of many mediocres, is what I am. I'm good enough. Jack of all trades, master of none.
We are the jack of all trades. Both of us are, really. Let's be honest. Yeah. It's more of friends, I think. Jack of all trades. That's us.
Yeah, it's and it's one of those things, like with photography, like I'm just good enough where like friends are like, hey, would you do this? It's like, I guess so. Okay.
I work cheap.
I do. I work cheap, and I have a big heart, and I like to help people out. So
great stuff, man. Great.
This is a good week, man.
Great pre-recorded show. Fantastic.
Yeah. All right, so we'll wrap things up. Appreciate everybody for checking this out. Obviously, Victory Sports Network all week. We'll have game previews. We'll go in depth on this. We'll be back with all the coverage on the social media, and follow us on Twitter. And I don't plan on breaking any news stories this week, so hopefully my Twitter doesn't blow up with speculation as to what I'm talking about. That is the last time that I do that, Pat.
Twitter battles.
Just is it this? Did you hear about this? Oh, it's this. No, it's not. And the reason I haven't come out with it yet, because I need confirmation. And then I got confirmation, and the information was out there. So
I love social media. It's so great.
Never again.
It's going to be the end of our existence.
Yeah, it already is at this point.
All
so, all right. He's Pat Donley. I'm Jason Dannelly. This has been NAIA Football with Dannelly and Donley. We will be back next week at the same actual time, more than likely live. That is Sunday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. This has been NAIA Football with Dannelly and Donley. Get on out there and enjoy some NAIA football. We'll see you next week, folks. Later.